Welcome in, everyone.
Come on in here, buddy.
Welcome in, everyone.
Come on in here, buddy.
Everyone enjoying their cruise so far? Nice. Where were you guys all yesterday? No. Did anyone do any fun excursions in Juneau? Yeah. Whale watching. So you saw whales, I take it? Yeah. Well, I should say you just went on a boat ride.
This one. Shush.
Welcome in. You guys should do have room on the platforms, but we have room down here to your right and to your left as well.
There's room right here if somebody needs to.
We can fill this whole area if we need to. Wherever you guys like to go.
Right here's room.
There's room on the bench over there. Well, alright, you guys, looks like we have our full group, so welcome everyone. Welcome to Golden Rush Dog Tours. My name is Therese, and my husband Peter and I did 6 Itadarods, so that's the focus of our kennel. You met Eric at the door. He's going to be helping us meet all the dogs. You're going to meet Donald back there as well. He's going to be your musher today. He's going to be taking the team out, running around the track for you all so you can see how excited. He's going to be taking the team out, running around the track for you all so you can see how excited and enthusiastic these dogs are, doing what they love doing best. And of course, we're going to meet the dogs and the puppies. But we do just want to share a little bit about the Alaska State sport of dog mushing with you all, focusing primarily on the Iditarod. Have any of you guys heard of the Iditarod before? It probably is the most famous sled dog race in the world. And you can see on the map it starts in the south central part of the state and works its way up to that northwest corner, ending in Nome, Alaska. And that trail is going to be approximately 1,100 miles long. So that's comparable to going from New York City all the way down to Miami. And the race was started back in 1973. It was started by a man named Joe Reddington Sr. And he was just trying to come up with a way to keep interest in the sport of dog mushing here in Alaska for generation after generation. So he decided to create this race. The sport of dog mushing here in Alaska for generation after generation. So he decided to create this race. And the race is run the first Saturday in March of every year. And this past March they had their 53rd running of the race. So I think he was pretty successful in keeping that interest going. But we do also have 2 different style sleds. This sled on the floor is what we call a freight sled. It's got a large basket area there, so it holds a lot of cargo. It's made of wood, so it's going to be a little stiffer, sturdier in order to hold that cargo. But that's the style sled you would have seen back in the Gold Rush days. But by contrast, this up here is the modern day racing sled. This is what you would see going over the trail today. So of course we're going to utilize more modern materials here, so it's lightweight but still really strong. It's going to be very flexible, so you can really manipulate it over that tricky Iditarod trail. And this particular model is called the tail dragger model because it does have this whole back end portion here. Which is nice because you can store some extra gear, but what's most convenient about it is my cooler here can double down as a seat. And that way if you're on an easy part of the trail, like the Yukon River, it's flat and it's straight, I can just say, okay dogs, you got this. I'm going to kick back on my snowshoes, kick my feet up, maybe watch a little Netflix. We of course don't do that part. If we're sitting here, usually we're going to grab a ski pole in each hand, and we're going to ski pole along just to help the sled move along as the dogs are pulling. When we're standing, we're going to do a combination of kicking and ski poling, and then when we do come up to a hill, as soon as we start climbing up that hill, I'm actually going to put my ski poles away, and then jump alongside the sled and run alongside it. That way the dogs don't have to pull my weight up the hill as well as the sled's weight. So we're ski poling, we're kicking, we're running, it all seems very straightforward until you see the boots that we wear. I always think of Herman Munster when I see these boots. Does anyone know who that is? But they look pretty cumbersome or awkward to wear, but they're actually very lightweight. This boot probably only weighs about 2 or 3 pounds, and it's got a nice big insole here, so that's going to keep your foot up off the ground. And it's made with this foam insulation that's going to provide warmth without a lot of weight. And I'm not sure how they go about rating boots, but they rate the boots to -100, but I don't think your feet are going to be warm at -100.
No, even with those boots on, after about 40 below, you're pretty chilly most of the time, unless you're really working hard behind the sled. The coldest I've ever seen it on the race for like any extended period of time I was out there in between checkpoints for 18 hours, and I pulled into this checkpoint called Cripple, and it was beyond the coldest I'd ever been. And I just asked the checker, it was like the first thing in the morning, if he had the temperature, and he said last time he looked, the official temperature was 68 below, and he said last night it was about 5-6 degrees colder. So we were out there about 10 hours at about 70 below. So yeah, there's a reason why I was pretty cold. At those temperatures, you just keep moving nonstop. We got this good gear on, and with those boots, you just keep moving enough, and you don't get wet or sweat too much, you'll be fine. And you know, a lot of times you actually got to walk, even at 50 below, got to watch about sweating too much because you're working so hard behind the sled. The first 3 days of the race is super hard driving. It's the hardest driving you'll ever do because you're going up and down the Alaska mountain range. And the dogs, you try to keep them at about 12 miles per hour, but you know, by standing on this track and this brake, thousands of miles of training, they sort of understand that. But they also understand after a couple hours I can't slow them down those mountains with all these switchbacks, and they don't care what I want. They're going to go about 25 miles per hour, and you just hold on for dear life. And the bad part is, you know, don't let the dog size fool you. When you go back there, people think they're going to see these great big furry fluffy huskies. That's the ones you see on TV. Those are good sled dogs, but they don't stand a chance against these guys. These guys have been bred thousands of years to do what they do. They're only small, but they're the strongest, most athletic pound for pound, explosive, and crazy dogs when it comes to running. And when they get hooked up and they're working together, it actually is pretty scary sometimes. It goes from being pretty fun to a little scary because facts at 25 miles per hour, you can't hit any trees. And you know, this sharp turns, and the dogs are 80 feet in front of you, the leaders. So you're way behind them making all these turns. And if you hit a tree or a rock or anything, it's going to bust your sled or you all to pieces. So you're constantly on your toes. And when you wipe out, you fall over, and you're dragging, which happens all the time. I mean, that happens 30, 40, 50 times during the race. You have to hold on to this sled. The number one rule for a dog musher is you can never let go of the sled. If you get knocked off the sled, their drive to go is so strong that they're going to keep going. And that's super dangerous for them. We never want them out there without us. Besides getting attacked by a moose during the race, that's probably the worst thing that could ever happen if we get knocked off the sled. And when you fall over, you know, people are breaking arms and legs because you're all the time in ribs every year. People are breaking bones because you're bouncing off rocks and stumps as you're getting drugged. And you got to hold on. You can get them stopped. I got 2 snow hooks on my sled, so if you have to be rescued, you got to stop them. What happens is when you wipe out, you always keep these snow hooks right here, and you never tie them on. That way, when you fall over, you'll see this rope is exactly right when I fall over where my hands are going to be. You don't want it out here. You can't touch it. Or back here, you won't be able to find it. But when I fall over and I'm dragging, I take this on and I wrap it around the handlebar, and I'll just be looking for this. I'll just try to feel for it. And as soon as you get that and you turn it over, you put that down, it's going to be a quick stop and a abrupt stop. But this will go into clear ice, this will go into the snowpack or the frozen ground. So that way, if you did break something bad enough and you need to be rescued, at least the dogs are there with you. I mean, it might take them a day to get to you, but at least the dogs are with you and they're safe. And we do teach the dogs everything by voice command. There's no reins. If I say G, they go right. If I say haw, they go left. If I whistle, they go faster. You know, if there's open water at 50 below, I just say straight ahead, and they'll go through it. They basically do anything you want, but stopping's not one of them. They just want to keep going and keep going. And, you know, we do teach them whoa over and over and over. That basically buys you about a second. I go whoa, they go oh, no, and go. But sometimes half a second is all you need. And that's why people always ask, like the biggest question I get, what's the hardest part of the race? I've done hundreds of races, only 6 Iditarods, and by far Iditarod's the hardest race because it's so far. Every day you're going over 100 miles, and it seems like every day or two you're in a whole different environment. Sometimes you're climbing up these mountains, the next day you'll be on the sea ice where there's ground blizzards all the time because the wind's so strong it kicks up the snow. You can't see more than 2 or 3 feet, so you're up in front of the dogs, trying to hold the dogs, trying to find where you're going. You could be walking for hours and hours with the dogs following you. Sometimes there's 70-mile-per-hour winds out there. When it's 40 below or colder, you're always worried because there's open water everywhere up there. Even creeks that are only this deep, they can be 50 below for months and they never freeze. And they're all over the place. They'll be 10 feet wide, a couple feet deep. You go around the corner and all of a sudden your dogs are 3/4 of the way through it. At that point, they're taking you through it no matter what. And if you fall over in that or it gets down in your boots, at 50 below, you're in big trouble in the middle of nowhere. So that's always in the back of your mind. But the hardest part by far is the sleep deprivation. You're only sleeping 2 hours a day at the most if you want to be competitive. An hour and a half to 2 hours a day, and you're out there for about 2 weeks, and you're working the whole entire time out there. The dogs, they sleep about 10 hours a day. And why there's such a discrepancy is when I was racing, there was about 100 teams in the race. The top 40, they're trying to win. The back 60, they're just trying to finish. There's only been 820-something dog teams that ever finished the race in 53 years, so it's a very small group of people. Thousands and thousands try and fail. And you're going to be super qualified to get into the race. You got to do qualifying races with their vets watching you, with their race marshals watching you. Then you can enter the race. You can't just show up at the race start with 16 house pets and be like, want to run a Iditarod? You don't have to do that. But once you're qualified, the top people run the race that want to try to win pretty much the same, and it's really basic. In your 24-hour span, you run 6 hours, rest 6 hours, run 6 hours, rest 6 hours. That's where the dogs stay the strongest, the fastest, and the best. You can run the dogs 16 hours without stopping. Usually it's to get out of bad weather that's too dangerous that you don't want to be in, or to make one big jump in the standings, and that can work. But you got to be super careful. If you run the dogs a little too far, a little too long, or you do that too often, your dogs will slow down instantly. And as soon as they slow down, if you're going too slow, they'll kick you out of the race for not being competitive, because you won't get that instantly. And as soon as they slow down, if you're going too slow, they'll kick you out of the race for not being competitive, because you won't get that speed back until days after the race is over. So basically what happens is, when I pull into a checkpoint, I'm going to have 3 of these bags that I've sent 4 times. 3 at Nikolai, McGrath, and Taunton. They have all my dog supplies in it. Most of it's full of dog food. I mean, these dogs eat 15,000 calories a day during the race, so they're 50 pounds. So you think about that. That'd be like a 150-pound person eating 50 Big Macs every day for 2 weeks, or 17 large pizzas every day for 2 weeks, or just being on the cruise ship. But they're just full of like raw meat. It's beef fat, chicken, turkey skins, liver, beaver, whitefish, salmon, a little bit of my food. And so what happens is when I pull into those checkpoints, say I take those 3 bags at the continent, I pour them in my sled, then I have a bale of straw at every checkpoint. I take that bale of straw, I put it on top of my sled, and I tie it, and I go. And as soon as I'm gone exactly 6 hours, I pull off on the side of the trail, put the 2 snow hooks in, dogs can't go anywhere. So then I get off the sled, and the dogs are all 2x2, and there's 8 sets, so there's 16 dogs, and they're all wearing booties. The booties they don't need, it doesn't do anything to keep their feet cold, warm. Their feet are completely warm at 100 below. That's where they lose most of their body heat, so their feet are never cold. We just do it preventative, because if they happen to just one time run across sharp ice and they cut their foot or pad or something, then you can't race them anymore. So we put the booties on just to prevent that. So what happens is I'll get down on my hands and knees. Once I give all the dogs the straw, they instantly know that's their beds. They'll go to sleep. And I'll get down on my hands and knees, and while I'm working on one dog, I'm going to work on all of them. The dog even right beside it, they all completely stay asleep. So I'll take the booties off the dogs, and I inspect to make sure there's no cuts or abrasions or anything wrong with their feet. Then I take their wrist, and I make sure the flexion in their wrist is 100%. Same with their biceps, their triceps, their Achilles muscles, and their hamstrings. And the whole time I'm checking all these muscles, I've also sent out this stuff called Agivil at every checkpoint. It's looks like vegetable oil, but it's just a heating liniment that I put on those muscles, and I massage it into those muscles. That way, when the dog's resting and sleeping, the muscles are warm, they're loose, and it actually increases blood flow through there, so it actually helps them recover a little faster. So after that, I'm going to feed all the dogs. Then I come back, and I'll jump up on the sled, and I'm going to sleep for an hour. After an hour, I got to get up, and I got to milk their water, I got to get their food ready, I got to put all the boots on again, I got to hook them all up. So if I'm super fast and efficient with every single chore I do, I'm going to get an hour's sleep in that 6 hours that I'm stopped, and the dogs are going to get 5 hours. And we do that twice a day, so I'll get about 2 hours sleep, they'll get about 10. And Iditarod is rookie meetings. They want to have everybody finish that they can. They want most people out, and they tell the rookies, you know, most likely you're not going to finish, and if you do, you're probably going to finish 90th to 100th spot. But try to get 4 hours sleep a day. If you do that, you're not going to be so far behind that you're not competitive and will kick you out of the race, but your chances of finishing go way up if you do that. Because when you get an hour and a half, 2 hours sleep, after a few days of that, people start slowing down mentally and make all kinds of mistakes, bad decisions. And what I've seen more times than not, I've seen personally a handful of times every race, is those mushers, they get so tired, they start slowly talking themselves into how bad things are out here. Even though it's really not, it's just in their head. They're trying to talk themselves into it. They do that for a couple of days, and then they quit just because they're thinking wrong. So if they got more sleep, that probably wouldn't happen. what I did my rookie year is I decided I'm going to run the dogs 4 on, 4 off instead of 6 on, 6 off. I knew in training when I did that, my dogs went about 3/4 of a mile per hour faster than they do normally. And I was hoping if I did that during the race, I'd become not only finish, but become the top half, the top 50. Well, my strategy worked. I ended up having the second fastest rookie time ever, and I came in 28th place. And as I'm moving up the standings, and I'm signing in, all these mushers that I had looked up to for years that are pretty legendary, I was beating a lot of them. I kept wondering, what am I missing here? What am I missing? Why don't they do this? Well, it's pretty simple. I was working, and I didn't think it through. It was pretty easy. When you stop for 4 hours, you still got 5 hours of chores to do and an hour of sleep. How do you do that in 4 hours, right? So I'm basically doing all the stuff as fast as I can, running around. I changed my socks, load my sled up, change my headlight batteries, do all my chores, and it was basically about 4.5 hours. I'd be ready to jump back up on the sled and I'd go. So I did this for the first 3 days, and that's where you're going up and down the Alaska Range. Well, I'll be beat to pieces by day 3. One time I flipped the sled, and I flipped it about 30 times in that 3-day section. I flipped the sled and I was driving down the mountain, and I hit a stump so hard it snapped off and went to my back. And I'm driving down, and I finally get down on this river, and it's about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And after about a mile or 2 on that river, all my adrenaline came back to normal because all that bad stuff's behind us, right? So I got a good 10 hours on this easy river. So as soon as it did, though, I got so tired, I really couldn't think. I'm having trouble, like, where am I going? What am I doing? Well, I hadn't slept 1 second in a little over 3 days. You know, going down the trail, and I got my headlight, and I don't know why I thought of this woman. I hadn't thought of her since I was a little kid. Something catches my eye, and I just turned my headlight, and I shined it right here. And standing here was my 4th grade teacher. And her and I started talking going down the trail. And I don't remember what we talked about. I wish I did. And I turned back around, and I remember thinking of this. And it seemed like I thought about this for hours and hours. It could have been 2 minutes, or it could have been hours. I just kept thinking that wasn't strange. I kept thinking how nice it was to have her to talk to. So I was completely losing it. Then I snapped out of it, and as soon as I snapped out of it, I got really nervous because what if I would have made the biggest mistake any musher could ever make? What if I would have just said, "Hey, how you doing?" I just let the dog go. Yeah, it would have been a disaster for me. So I knew I only had, I was pretty nervous. I was like, you got to do something to try to focus. So what I came up with is I had this wheel dog, which is the dog closest to the sled. His name was Max. And then I had this little girl, Dover, who was my leader, who was about 80 feet up in front. I said, well, I'll try this. I just put my headlight on Max, and I just kept saying it under my breath, because if not, he'd be looking at me. I just kept going, good boy, Max, good boy, Max, good boy, Max. Then I'd shine it up to Dover and say, good girl, Dover, good girl, Dover, good boy, Max, good boy, Max. I did this back and forth for a whole inch an hour, and it worked. I got in there, totally uneventful, everything was fine, but I knew right then, if I didn't get some sleep, something bad's probably going to happen, or I'm going to get kicked out of this race. So right then I decided to take my 24-hour break. You have to take a 24-hour break one time during the race. They don't care where, but it has to be in a checkpoint. That's where they drug test you and the dogs, and they do all kinds of stuff. You still have to take care of the dogs every 4 hours, but it was the best decision I made because in that 24-hour span, I got 10 hours of sleep, and I never saw her again. Actually, I'm from Maine, and I was home years later, and I talked to her, so I was a little short. So I told the story. All right, any questions? Yeah, I knew her really well. As a matter of fact, I got a lot of dogs from her. I knew her for quite a while. She passed away a good while ago. Yeah. She actually, her and Libby Riddles put the race on the map. It was basically hit states for back in the 80s before. Those guys, she won 4 and Libby won 1 all in the 80s. And it just became worldwide because nobody thought a woman could win it back then. Back in the 80s, they were like, how's these women beat these stuff? And Susan, she was on Wide World of Sports, and the 4th time she won, they interviewed her, and they asked her, how does a woman beat all these big, tough Alaskan men? She goes, well, it's Iditarod, it's Alaska, where men are men and women won the Iditarod.
How do you let somebody know that you're injured or need help?
When I raced, you didn't. Hopefully another musher would come by and they'd see you and they'd go in to the checkpoint. You know, sometimes it might take a day or so for them to come get you, but if it's really bad, what's happened a couple times, people have had head injuries or knocked out, that put them on the sled and make sure the dogs are okay. And and then bring them to the checkpoint. But knock on wood, most of the time, everything's worked out okay. How do you get them warm? They got a double coat. These dogs back in the day, they've been bred thousands of years to do this. Back in the day, they didn't even have, when the Eskimos were breeding them, they didn't even have dog houses. They lived outside, nothing. So they developed a dog that was the toughest, strongest dog, the quickest, the fastest. Now we got houses for them, we got straw for them, the house pets we bring them in. And so basically these dogs, they're, like I said, they look like a bunch of mutts because that's what they are. Built like that food. There's not a dog in the world. Matter of fact, they figure a wolf is one of the most land-efficient animals in the world as far as traveling. They go 50 miles a day freely. These dogs, you get 10 of them together, they can take a 200-pound person, 150 pounds a year, and a 50-pound sled, and they go 150 miles a day in that same environment. So there's Eskimos and Native Alaskans livelihoods dependent on these dogs. If not, they won't start with that. So they develop the best dog here. When you see them, you say, oh, I can see a dog with a dog pound like that. It might be colored like that, but it's not built. Built like them, mentally more physical. You know, it's minutes to know what these dogs. Very, very special.
What's the average weight?
About 50 pounds. If they get any bigger for racing, they get too slow, they don't have the endurance, more injury prone. How do we get the maximum though? Just do one of those stores as fast as you can. And you know, if you're slowing down with it, like mentally, you're going to slow down to the point where you're not wrestling, then just these legs. You practice that. You practice races for years. Like you got 80 feet of dogs from here to here. So I'll have all my pockets full with my foot on my Advil, any kind of medications I need, anything I need. So every time I'm moving up and down that line, I'm constantly doing something. Now, there's no waste of moving where you won't have time, or you're finishing back to back, or not finished at all. I just always loved dogs and just started this one. I always loved dogs. I was 4 or 6 of them. I raced 4 miles. And I thought, well, I think you love dogs and it's have fun with it, sport or whatever. And it was. And the more you do it, you're out there with the dogs, just doing the dogs all day. The more you do it, the more it's good. And you just spend, I spent 18 hours a day with the dogs. It was a year. It's like the best thing in the world. I enjoy that more than the company of all you guys.
You ever did think while you're in the middle of that, watch the bowling and think, oh.
My rookie year, it happened to me once really bad when I got out there. I one time I was out there and it was my rookie year, and this is that day 3 that I was all beat up and I broke my teeth up and I did all that. And there was one time when I finally flipped and I'm so soaked this running, I'm so tired at this point. It went through my head like I can't do this anymore. Like, just for a second, but then I thought, I'm out in the middle of nowhere by myself. You gotta do this, you gotta get the guys. The thing with the Iditarod, the best people keep it even keel. If you get ups and downs, it's okay. Like if you get way down, the dogs spend everything. They know you better than you know. So if you get out there and you feel a little down, the dogs feel it. As soon as you do, you can't fake it. You can't be like, oh, good boys, good dogs. You don't feel that way. They sense it, and all of a sudden they'll slow down and they'll stop faking it. Yeah, you gotta keep it keel. I mean, some races I've been in, it's been within a matter of 20 minutes. You go from like, this is the best thing I ever did, and laughing and joking, to basically almost crying. And you would most feel like that, just because you're so tired, everything's bigger and heavier.
Our daughter says it's not impossible.
Wow.
The husky daughter has, he's about 40 pounds. It's not talking at all.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are super quiet unless they're around other ones. They'll howl with them, but a lot of times, like these guys, they don't howl at all. So they react, they eat, sort of an appreciative thing. But when you go over there, these dogs, they don't show up. So if he was around the pack, I think it would be, every single day. They probably would. So when we meet the dogs, just don't bend over like this. We're gonna let them run back and forth for a couple minutes. Sometimes they jump up and see you, sometimes they don't. But just don't bend over. They're not gonna hurt you on purpose. They jump out behind the kitchen. Feel free to put all the bags over here. We got a bunch of benches. You can put them on the benches if you want. Feel free to ask questions anytime. Do you want to follow Eric here?
Where is Deanie from? What part of it?
I'm from Dexter, which is about 30 miles
Just gonna cross here and go all the way down towards down there.
I want Elway.
She's kind of a slinker. She likes to. Hi, Maynard. Maynard.
No more treats for you.
Maynard.
No more treats for you.
Maynard. Come here. She thinks. Good girl. Good boy. This is Maynard. And again, these are all those Alaskan Huskies. People do expect to see the Siberian Huskies or the Malamutes. And of course, those dogs make good flippers. Hey, Potato. Come here, Potato. Hey, Potato. Hi, Lincoln. They're in their prime racing age for a race like Iditarod, 3 to about 10, maybe 11. The older the dog you can get to still make your team is going to be an advantage because they've seen everything they can possibly see. They're experienced, they get tougher seeing all that. And so they are starting to lose a little bit of speed at that age. So that's kind of the cutoff. It'd be unusual to have a 12-year-old dog in your team. We put them in harness at 6 months, and we're going to take 6 months to that 3 years. They can do shorter races at 2 years old. They'd be physically ready to do Iditarod at 2, but you just want to mentally prepare them as well. They do just become our pets. They do, sometimes, yep. They're not going to be fully retired until they're, hey, Nala, until they're, Nala, come here. Until they're about 15, 16 years old or so. When they're off their race team, they're still going to go down and start training those younger dogs.
Not here, no.
Because again, they do just learn so much more from each other than they do from us.
We send them back.
He is a sweetheart. Come here. Come here. Come on up. Good boy. Good boy.
You're a big boy, aren't you?
Potato.
Come here.
Hey, Lincoln.
Potato is too smart for her own good. She's learned how to undo zippers to get treats. And she's only 2 years old.
Hi.
You think
Is that
treats
what
are in
she's
there?
trying to do?
You think they're in there, but I put them in a different pocket
And of
today.
course, they live to be, they're retired at 15,
What are you gonna do,
16 years
Potato?
old, but they live to be about 18, 19 years old. And that's mostly genetics.
Yeah.
You figure they, come here, Nala. Here, Nala. Good girl. You wanna come all the way down here? Come here, Nala. Come on up, Nala. Come here, Nala. Come on up. Come on up. Good girl. Good girl. You're a good girl. Yes, you're a happy girl. And mostly that, like I said, is genetics. Even though they're not a purebred dog, they do have pedigrees on them all. So we're going to be very particular on who gets to be in the breeding pool. They are going to have to finish Iditarod, good appetite, good feet, good fur, all those qualities. Then we're looking at the parents and the grandparents, even the great-grandparents, because if they have anything even as small as arthritis in the background, they're not going to be in your breeding pool. Charlotte here is the leader, and so is Fiel here. In fact, these two will be the leaders in your team. You guys want to see these guys in action?
I think you guys want to go for
Here.
Potato. I think you guys need to go for a run.
Good
Huh?
boy.
Who's running?
Good boy, Fiel. Good boy, Fiel. We're going this way. Yes, we are. Good boys. You know where you're going, don't you, Charlotte? And it will get very loud in here when we actually start hooking them in. They like to be the high spots. You see, they can jump up. They like to be pet. They come in and sleep on the couch. But when they know they're going to go for a run, that's when they get excited. They're just have all that energy to He says, I'm following you. I'm going wherever you're going. They do. It's a cash prize. For first place, you get $70,000 and a new truck. But your kennel costs are going to be about $100,000 to $120,000 a year. Your race itself is going to be about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. So it's not so much the prize money, but it's just going to be sponsorship at that point when you get that big. But you may have also noticed we did not use the word mush when we wanted them to go. That's only in the movies. If we want them to go, we're going to say this one, but I'm going to spell it for you all because I know they can hear us out there. We say A-L-R-I-G-H-T. We say, all right. And off they go. And you can see how much power just 6 dogs have. The line of Dusty has coming by, and then imagine having 16 dogs coming, adding 10 more. Alrighty guys, let's hear it for the dogs! Good puppies, good doggies. And of course we can introduce the team to you all as well. Yeah. You don't waste any time. Good boy. Here. These two are our leaders up here. These guys are the ones that are focused on the trail, listening to the commands. We have Charlotte here. She's 5 years old. She's done 2 Iditarods so far. She's like a nice little quiet dog, but she likes the speed when you have her up there. And her partner here is Fiel. He is 4 years old. He did his first Iditarod this past March, so he's grown up a ton. You can gained a whole bunch of experience. They feel like they've conquered the world once they finish it. So he'll be heading into his second Iditarod with all that knowledge and experience. And then actually, these two can also lead as well. Little Hermione's another little quiet girl, but if you have these two up there together, then you really got the speedsters. She likes that speed as well. She is 7 years old and she's done 3 Iditarods. Elway here is 7 years old and he has done 4 Iditarods so far, most of that time in lead. He likes to be in charge up there. If you're being such a big dog, that's a huge asset. And of course, he's just pretty. So yeah. Back here in front of the sled, these are the wheel dogs. These are the dogs that are going to be helping you steer the sled. Lincoln here is 6 years old. He's done 2 Iditarods so far. Her partner here is Gia. He is actually 12 years old, and he's done 6 Iditarods. He's in semi-retirement. He won't be in the main race team, but he'll be training those younger dogs. And if you guys want to come back along the railings here, we did save the best for last. We do have those puppies for you all to see. These puppies are super cute. They are 7 weeks old. But they do have sharp puppy teeth, so just be very careful with them around by your face, because they will chew on what they can reach. They love your hat if they could get that. Their mom's name is Flip Flop, and she's in there with them. I'm not sure who their dad was. They're a friend of ours, Ryan's dogs, and they came to us already born. Come here, Charlie. Pre-peeing.
Make sure you're super careful with them. Here you go. Whoops.
This way.
Hello there, little fella.
Hi. Hi there. Hi. You want to hold? Got it. Oh, how cute those are.
You guys are 7 weeks, and everybody will get a chance to hold one. Well, fortunately, we don't have 45 puppies. There'll be a lot of puppies.
Look at these. What's the matter, Elway? Elway. What's the matter, Elway? Huh? What's the matter with Elway? Elway's meant to go home with me. The Denver Broncos connection.
He has a brother, Von Miller.
Oh, really?
Sister, Sharp.
Awesome.
Another brother, Terrell.
Are you going for a Knicks now?
You ain't a Bronco fan, are you?
Our kennel partner is Riley, the one who races them now. Yeah.
And it's funny, 7
Yep.
7 years.
Yep. It's gonna be his year. Maybe he'll win
Yeah.
a this year. with that.
Steelers wrote on it somewhere.
I'm a Bears fan, so I can't. Usually we'll
Elway. Elway.
have
What are you doing, buddy?
cook everything ahead of time, like, steak and eggs, pasta, pizza, whatever, and then we vacuum seal it and freeze it. And then when he's heating that water up for the dogs, you can throw that in there and it'll thaw it out. I was wondering if they send it all at those stations. Oh my goodness, yeah. Sometimes they'll have food there, but a lot of times you're not even staying in there, so yeah.
No, go
In
ahead.
your picture.
I'm just in love with Elway.
He's a good boy. He's so pretty.
Now, where are the other ones?
You're so pretty. As you are. As you are. You're so pretty.
Look at those eyes. Gorgeous. Elway.
And of course,
What are you
keep
doing,
sharing
buddy?
those puppies. We just want to make sure everybody has that puppy time. But if you guys on this far side want to make your way back over to the original side, you can bring your puppies with you. Sometimes that just makes puppy sharing easier when we're all on the same side here. And of course, keep sharing those puppies. And if you guys are interested in taking a little token of your time home, a little memorabilia, we do have these Iditarod booties here. These were worn by the dogs that you met here today in the kennel. Each of them has about 70 miles of that trail time on them. Is that the sound of a puppy being put in a backpack? Get your last minute little puppy cuddles with them.